I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's. Okay, I've lost everybody. I found everybody. Hello, everybody. I found you. So, it's good to have everybody here in the Zoom room with us. We'll have Terry kind of greet you all here shortly. Since we're just, I would thought it would have got easier to just stream on YouTube, but now I got to push more buttons because I'm not streaming everywhere else. Or we're not streaming everywhere else. But it's good to have everybody with us tonight. Listen, if you're watching this via our YouTube channel, Outreach Noah, you're welcome to come on over to the Zoom room. You can go to Simple Walk Facebook page, and there would be the link for the Zoom room. Also, those of you that are listening through Power Faith Radio, you can go on over to a Simple Walk Facebook page. It's a public page, and just look for that link and come on in, or watch us live on YouTube. Either way, we thank you so much for coming and spending some time with us. See, Terry, it doesn't take as long now. I'm just boom, boom, and there we are. There we are. So, and I would like to say, if you're watching this recording that was shared on the Simple Walk, or you're watching the recording on Outreach Noah, feel free to subscribe to our channel on Outreach Noah, and then hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified every time a new video goes up. I just wanted to lengthen it out a little bit longer for you, Terry. So you go ahead and greet everybody here in the room, and I'll get ready for our Sadaka time.
All righty. Greetings, everyone, and glad to see everyone here in the Zoom room tonight. We've got, of course, Scotty is back from the away mission. He had to beam out for a little while last week and be gone.
I had Thomas with me, so
you had Thomas with you. Oh, you had I see neither one of you wore a red shirt.
No, is that good or bad?
You're back here tonight. I'm sorry, that's some Star Trek humor.
He tried to make me wear one.
Everybody
tried to make me wear one, though.
Everybody wears a red shirt on the away mission. They don't come back, except for Scotty. Scotty's the only one with the red shirt that always returned.
He was.
Yes.
He was.
All right. And then, of course, we got Ronald and Veronica. Where are you in Texas tonight?
I am near a little town called Comanche, which is a little bit northwest of Waco.
Okay.
Waco.
Right on the edge of the eclipse thing.
Oh, okay.
So she's hanging out for the eclipse.
Yep.
Oh, she's going to have a party like it's 1999.
Yeah.
All right. And of course, Bob's back with us tonight, and Wendell and Thomas, and then Will, and then Mr. iPhone, which is Fred up in Kentucky. And then Scotty's better half, the one that's keeping him straight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, greetings, everyone, and also everyone that's on Power Faith Radio. Glad that you're here with us again tonight, and those who are listening in on the YouTube Outreach Noah YouTube channel. There is a chat in there as well, and like Sky said, everyone's welcome to come join over in the Zoom room if you want to, and just go to Simple Walk. The button is right there, the link for the Zoom room. You're welcome to come in and join us. This week, we're going to pick back up on our, we just began week before last, the third gate, the gate of serving God, the essence of the service of God. We're going to be starting at toward the bottom of page 64 tonight. We're going to pick up there and just see how far we can get. Scotty, you about ready?
I'm ready. We thank everybody who participated in our Sadaka time for this week and last week, and just send those names in. We had somebody that contacted us, and I got them a charity box this week. They have a special need in their family, and so they live right here in Blount County. So they asked if I could give them a little more understanding about the charity box and how they get their family involved in it. They had a special need. They did not tell me what that need was. I did not ask, but I took them a charity box this week, and so they're setting it on their table, on their kitchen table, on the dining room table, and they've put some change there. And they're having everybody in the family, when they get through eating or before they eat, whatever they're doing, and they're giving the blessing, however they give that blessing, they're remembering those that don't have food. So, and they're giving to that, and then they're going to send. They said they'll send that back to me, and then just let me put that in a charity someplace. And so I thought that was great. So you be much in prayer for them.
Did you get them one of the round ones that you had?
I did,
and did you talk to them about decorating it up like?
I did, and what they're. Well, hopefully, when they give it back to me. I'm going to, they said they would discuss a little more about what the need was and is. So, we'll just, but that's what I gave them, and I told them to decorate it. They can have their kids. They got two, an 8 and a 10-year-old boys, and they can, fix something up and make it a family adventure. And so that's where they're going with that. Okay. As always, Terry and I and those here, we always want to remember Terry and I's main teacher, Pesach and Shira Sherbo. Also, we're remembering, we're giving tzedakah for Rabbi Moshe Shulman. Has anybody heard, when was he going through his procedure? Does anybody?
The 28th.
That was last Thursday, the 28th.
The 28th. Okay. We're going to continue to have him on our tzedakah list. Also, we have Clifford Hoole still on our tzedakah list. His wife contacted me today and wanted me to keep him on the tzedakah list. And also, Wendy Shepard, she's still on our tzedakah list. Emuela's not here. She's under the weather, and but I'm sure. But we're giving, somebody always sends in $1 for Emuela, and at the same time they always send in one for Veronica Port, and they send one in for Thomas Schaus as well. Okay, let me get on down through here. Also, giving tzedakah tonight for Nadine Akins, and also giving tzedakah tonight for William Lyons. I'll give you an update on him pretty soon, but William Lyons, and then also Ronald. Ronald, I know we talked a little bit before everybody come in tonight. You just give me an update of how you're doing with your surgery, healing, and then you're getting in the middle of your friend's little argument. But how you doing, Ronald?
Yeah, I'm doing much better. I've had a couple of reviews. The thumb and the calf muscle are going to take the longest. The calf muscle's painful, but it's healing well. The thumb's still a bit of a mess because it's stitches in 3 places and a smashed nail. So it's going to stay sore for a while and prevent me from shaving a bit longer.
Okay. Okay. I noticed you. I thought somebody got your TV and your razor was sitting on it. But I did. That's an old Tennessee joke. Never mind. I'm sorry, Ronald. That's an old. You almost have to be from Tennessee to get that one. So okay. But you're looking good with a beard. I remember you had a full beard, and Terry's not going to argue.
Hey, not shaving is not a bad thing.
Yeah. So
I'm considering to keep it growing again, like I had 6 or 8 months ago.
Yeah. Just have fun at it. So, okay. All right. Also, we're giving Thanksgiving. No, first of all, Warwick Marshall. About went over Warwick. We got Warwick on our tzedakah list. And then also Thanksgiving tzedakah tonight for Mary Parsons. I'm so glad she came through this winter. That's all I'm going to say, Wendell. I'm just glad she came to this winter. And then also Barbara Ruth Dickman is in our blessed memory.
I think Scotty
Frozen.
froze. I know we had some bad storms come through Tennessee last night. We didn't, it bypassed us. We were supposed to have a lot, but it bypassed us. Scotty's just sitting there talking to us there. You was frozen for about a minute.
It just now told me my internet connection is having some issues. I noticed I left because everybody left and I was the only one here. So if I was the only one here, everybody else was gone. So did everybody hear Barbara Ruth Dickman? Did you hear that is on our blessed memory? Okay, we're giving Sadaka for her merit. And that, of course, is Ronald's wife. Ronald, if you don't mind me asking, how long has it been since your
It was 5 years last Thursday. So, yeah, Wednesday your time, but Thursday my time. Yeah.
Okay. Giving that for her merit. Going to ask you if you would to help us pray tonight. Hear our voice, Adonai, our God, Father of mercy. Have compassion on us and accept our prayers with compassion and favor. For you are a God who hears our prayers and supplications. Our King, do not send us away empty-handed. Favor us and answer us and listen to our prayers. Amen. All right, Terry, I think what we're going to do tonight, as I move some of this out in front of me, I'm just going to go ahead and give you on speaker view, and we'll just go from there. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'd like to add something else there that came to mind as you were talking. We need to keep Israel as well. Everyone in the vicinity of the Israel area in our prayers as well. I got to talk with Pesach for a little while on Sunday morning, and he was telling me how they were out delivering food and stuff like they do for the soldiers and everything. And he says it's common. He says what you don't see in the news is the constant barrage of rockets that's coming into Israel from the north, from Lebanon and Syria. And he lives in Safat, which is in the north, up toward Lebanon. And he says it's common. It's almost common as seeing a cloud now, seeing the rockets that are coming over, and then the Iron Dome taking them out. But of course, they don't hit every one of them. He said that there's I think he said it was a hospital that's not too far from where he lives, where him and Cheryl live. And one got by and hit the parking lot over there, not too far from where they live. And so it's just something they're living with every day there.
You're right. We don't see that on the news. And we definitely need to hold them up in prayer.
Yeah, there's quite a few that are suffering from what we would call PTSD, the psychological impact of the constant rockets, coming overhead, and the military planes flying over, and just that noise of war has played a lot of effect on some mental issues of quite a few people over there. So just you need to keep Israel. It's it's just the thing that they're going through, and the world just keep going on by, and they're having to live with it. Of course, there's other countries as well that's got wars going on. I think Rabbi Singer said the other day on one of his videos, there's 23 or 27 wars that are going on right now on the earth. Only 3 or 4 has got the world's attention. And so it's kind of we just need to keep humanity in prayer.
Yes, most definitely. All right, Terry, I'm gonna back off here and give it over to you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I had thoughts this morning about something, how to start, what I was going to start with tonight. I think I want to do that. We started on this service of God. the service of God, which we're going to continue with here in just a moment. We've discussed the service of God. We've had good discussions here lately on the oneness and the plurality and just the different things about the Creator in these areas. And I was thinking about a lot of the stuff we're covering, where we're going. And there's a lot of emphasis right now, what I think is kind of toward the individual and their relationship with the Creator. And which is very, very important. But we can kind of get tied up a lot in just our individual, relationship, like I said, which is important. But part of the service of God, which we're going to get into later as well in further chapters, a big part of the service of the Creator that we had talked about here a couple of weeks ago was that, see, we're created for a purpose. We're created for a purpose. Majority of us has grown up in and around or been influenced by some form of religion. And that's somewhat what most of us, that's all we know. But there's a purpose that goes beyond this religious aspect, with the Creator. And we've been learning to live the way He wanted us when He created us. And so we all have this purpose, and we have this great kingdom of the Creator that goes way beyond all of us. And like Rabbi Hirsch talks about when he's discussing the law of species in conjunction with Genesis chapter 1, 11, and 12, he was talking about how for God's world, He needs all these individualistic things. He needs the cedar trees, the corn stalks and the grapevines and the grass. He needs all of these things operating and how He created them. And then he goes in and he says, but He also, the Creator, needs for the Jew and the non-Jew to do what they were created to do. And that's what we study is our part, what we're supposed to do. And that was on my mind this week about how, even though we've been talking a lot about things that affects us personally with belief and faith, but it goes beyond this. This should take us into what I like to consider kind of like kingdom living with the Creator and with everyone else that's in the kingdom. He's got his household that's in the castle, and He's got us that's in the kingdom out here in the field, operating in the earth. And I was just thinking about our collective, not just individual, but our collective mission as humanity to make the world a place that what He wanted from the beginning. We all have the choice to do what is right or wrong. And it seems like in our world today, everywhere we turn, it's just the emphasis of what is going wrong in this world seems to be outweighing that which is going right. But there is a lot of right that's going on in the world. And sometimes we can get down in what we're looking at this world. And some of the stuff I was talking with Pesach, our teacher, this Sunday, was this aspect. And I'm studying, the trust of God in this, in the duties of the heart right now. And one of the things it brings out is a passage in Ecclesiastes chapter 5 that we should not wonder about the will of God, because everything that's going on in the world, it's hard sometimes to see that everything that's going on is the will of God. Everything's going on is according to His plan, the way things are, even in the midst of when everything seems to be wrong. And so it's easy to get trapped into wondering what's going on in the world. And Pesach, he kind of shared this with me, and I was talking about overcoming that issue of everything that's right here in our face. And he told me, he said, remember that Moses wanted to see what God was doing as well. But the Creator took him up on the mountain, hit him in the cleft of the rock, and metaphorically put His hand over him and says, you can't see that. You can only see my hinder parts. And Pesach was saying that we need to just back off in trying to figure out what God is doing at the moment in front of us, because we can't see it. But he's guaranteed we will see everything he has done in the rearview mirror. And through that, we build our faith and our trust, because when we start seeing everything that he has done, just like he showed with Moses. So it's like, you can't see and understand him looking out the front glass. But we've got to take that look up in that rearview mirror and look and see everything he's done behind us. And he says, and that will strengthen you. I thought that was pretty interesting. Just kind of wanted to share that. Scotty, anything with that before I get in? I know you've been busy. We ain't got to talk this week. All righty. Page 64. Page 64, on that second paragraph where we left off, it says, this service to God is not an effortless task. The difficulty to overcome in contemplating the existence of God is that any knowledge that a person attains only comes to him in the context of what he can experience physically through the senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch. In other words, a person's picture in his mind, which we all have that, and hears in the thoughts of his understanding, his concept of the matters he learns, is all experienced through our physical senses. He says, therefore, his knowledge is framed in the context of his own physical existence, surrounding, and experiences. That's with every one of us. We all have had our personal experiences. And we form our understanding of God through, we try to form these understandings of who God is and what God is doing through these physical experiences, because this is all we have, is these sensors that he gave us through our eyes and our touch and our smell. It says, as a person contemplates and brings his knowledge of a matter into more pure and abstract conceptualization and wisdom, his grasp of it will extend, broaden, and deepen. And that's what we've been doing over the past few years. We've been growing that, that grasp of who and what God is and what he's been doing. That's what we've been learning in his Torah and through his laws and what he expects of mankind. He says, but it will never depart totally from being connected. Even our understanding and our wisdom that we grasp will never depart totally from being connected to the physical context. Because a living person always remains a limited physical being, whereas God cannot be grasped in the context of any human senses. I was going over this again this morning, and I had this example from my own personal life, everyday life, come into my mind that I want to share with y'all tonight that helps me understand this, where it says, God cannot be grasped in the context of any human senses. Because we want to kind of argue that. Well, yes, we can. But I want to give you an example. Now, granted, I hope it's not a too far way out example. It's more not an example, it's more of an analogy. Many of you know that back last year, I took an opportunity to move up, and I work in the parts department for the Lexus of Chattanooga. And so I'm in the parts department. Well, part of my job and in my training is studying the Lexus brand and it's in all of its different facets. I have certain classes that are assigned to me that I have to take at certain times. And I have to learn about, even though I'm not on the sales floor, I still have to learn about all the different models and what they have, the different powertrains, and you know, just the different systems in the cars, because we sell those parts that affects those all the areas of the vehicle. We handle those as far as parts goes. Well, this last about a couple months ago, I had taken one of my classes, and it was talking about some of the new and the new upcoming, what's called the LS 3.0. It's the Lexus safety system that is coming up, and then it is really interesting what it already has, but it's got things that's coming up actually in the 24 models, and some of the new things as far as safety goes. Now, most of you know today, most of our cars, they've got sensors everywhere. And so with the Lexus, they've got sensors that's out front that will keep you from running into someone. Even my 17 Toyota Highlander has a sensor out front. When I set cruise control, I can set it at 3 different levels. And if I'm running down the highway, if somebody pulls in front of me, my car will start pulling back. It'll start dropping. It won't let you get close. They have that. You got lane departure sensors for getting over. You've got blind spot sensors now that will light up on your rearview mirror when something's coming up beside you in your blind spot. Lexus now has what's called park assist that helps you park. It has and of course they all have backup cameras now and other sensors back there. Lexus now has the sensors that will if someone it's called exit assist. You go to open up your driver's side door or your passenger side door, and if there's traffic coming, a bicycle coming down, a motorcycle, a person walking, or another car coming by, it will lock your door. It will not let you open that car up into traffic. And so they've got all these different things that are safe. It's even got what's called I call it the rush hour sensor, but it's a sensor for like when you are in really heavy traffic. It will not allow you to make certain moves when there's so much traffic that's around you. And so you got all these sensors. So let's say if a Lexus could be this Lexus car could be a sentient being. You got all these sensors, just like taste, smell, touch, that is navigating that vehicle. And if it was a sentient being, it has everything. It can see all the way around it. It knows what's going on all the way around, inside and outside. All these senses. These are the senses of the car. Think about this. With everything it can sense, just like you, through your eyes, through your smell, through your touch and taste and hearing. Those are your sensors. Can that car, with all the information that it is sensing around it, know its manufacturer? Can it figure out what the manufacturer's will was for it in all situations? No. And so when I read that this morning again, that we cannot grasp God through the context of human senses, that's what came to my mind. With all this amazing technology that this vehicle has, and it's been given all of these new forms of senses, as we might want to call it, as an analogy, there's no way, with everything operating perfectly and knowing everything that's going around it, protecting itself, can it know anything about its manufacturer. And that's somewhat similar to us. We're not totally limited from not knowing our manufacturer, but there's so much that we can't grasp through our senses. I don't know. Was that an okay analogy for y'all? It kind of hit my mind this morning as I was sitting and thinking about this, and things I've been learning. And I'm like, that's almost like saying, well, can Alexis know Alexis manufacturer? Can it sense, direction for the purpose it was made? No, because see, the person inside that car could actually misuse the vehicle from what it was made to do, regardless of the senses. Kind of like what we do. We misuse our bodies, misuse our past. So the Creator gave us all of our senses. We can take it off-roading when it shouldn't have been. Rabbi Weiner goes on and says, therefore, in order to bring the existence of God closer to the grasp of the human mind, it is necessary to employ parables. I guess kind of like what I just gave, parable. That teach godly concepts in terms of human experience. Once the concept of the parable is firmly grasped in a person's understanding, he can apply the point of the parable to a more abstract understanding of the godly reality. The beginning and the most fundamental point is knowledge of God's true existence. That's which we have had those few weeks of discussion about. And from this point, the heart is able to awaken to feelings of love and fear. It was previously explained in chapter 1 that the first gate on the knowledge of God, that a revelation of God in a prophecy needs to be garbed in a physical parable. For example, a vision of God in a human form, or hearing him speak in whatever language the prophet knows. This is so that the prophecy will enter into the prophet's intellect, from which the point of it can be understood and then communicated in the prophet's own words. A similar intellectual process is even more necessary for a person who is approaching God on his own initiative, for that can come only from the basis of his own understanding and contemplation of whatever knowledge that he himself has acquired so far. Scott, anybody got any questions, anything on that, where we're at now? All righty. One of the ways to approach this, which is simple and easy, accessible to human perception, is to contemplate God's existence through the analogy of the body and the soul of a person. This is the intent of the verse. From my flesh I perceive God. It's in Job 19:27, which means through contemplating my body and it's being kept alive by my soul, which together constitutes an image of God, I can gain understanding and perception of the living God himself. Contemplating, says, from my flesh I perceive God. There's so much in that we've all experienced different aspects. From back about a year ago or so, when I was going through my battle with anger with the situation that was going on in our personal life. And I was going through physical things, which I learned from the study of the gate of anger through one of the sages, on how anger affects the body. From that aspect, I began to perceive God in ways that I had never known. one of the ways that really just that took my mind away was because in anger, you bear that sin. That's what the Torah tells us. We bear our sin in that. And what was interesting is I came to a point in my life where I was understanding what that meant to bear my sin. But at the same time, as I was going through that, the mercy of God through my bearing my sin and reaping what I was sowing in that situation, I was perceiving what was going on inside my body because of this. And I had to, and I came to the point where I told the Creator, I accepted what was going on because I had to do this. I had to go through this because something I'd done. But on the other hand, I began to grasp some aspects of God through what was going on through my body. And so that's, this is kind of fresh with me because it's not been that long ago I went through that. From my flesh, I perceive God. And that was just, I guess what we might say, a negative aspect. There's plenty of positive ones out there that we all go through as well when things are going great. But from my flesh, I perceive God, which means through contemplating my body and being kept alive by my soul, which together constitutes the image of God. And that's really, that passage is fairly deep mentally. If you just sit and think about it, I know Bob has probably got a bunch of questions on up there. Bob, you got any questions on that? Like what we've been studying our other stuff on that passage? No? Okay. Sometimes I just hate to read over something like that and keep going because it's just, there's so much there that we can actually connect to. And maybe sometime this week, it's on page 65 at the bottom. Maybe sometime this week you can take time just from where it quotes Job 19 there. And just that last section, maybe take some time just to sit and read it and meditate on it. Maybe use it as part of your prayers in connection with the Creator. And just let yourself connect with the Creator in that aspect that from your body, from your flesh, you can begin to perceive the living God. Scott, are you saying something? Okay, I thought you were saying something. All right. Page 66. A body on its own has no life. I've heard when I was doing my studies several years ago, I heard one of my Torah teachers on this was telling us that our body borrows living energy from the soul to exist. It's like our bodies, the flesh, borrows the energy from the soul so that it can exist. Because see, once the soul's gone, that body has no more energy in it. So it's like it's borrowing from the soul. So a body on its own has no life. For without the soul, which gives its life at every moment, it would die. This is not just a reference to the life of the body in general. It also applies to the power bestowed by the individual faculties of the soul, which emanate from its essence and works through the individual bodily functions. The ability of the eye to see, the ability of the ear to hear, and all other faculties of the body, when those organs are in physically correct condition, cannot function unless the power from the corresponding faculties of the soul is resting in and affecting those parts of the body. There's a passage that just came to mind, and I don't have the reference, but it's King David in one of his prayers in the Psalms. I don't know if Scotty wants to try to look this up or not, but King David says something in the essence, heal my soul. And our Torah sages teaches us what King David is saying right there when he was praying and asking the Creator to heal his soul. They asked the question, wait a minute, why didn't he ask him to heal his body? Because King David knew that it wasn't the body that was sick, but the soul. And the sickness of the soul was being emulated in through the sickness of the body. I know I threw Scotty on the limb right there because it just came to mind, Scotty. Just let me know when you got it. The Torah teaches that the creation is like a macrocosm of the body. And without the life force from God that shines into it, it could not exist for a moment. At its essence, the spirit of life in the universe, which is revealed to us through the functioning of the different powers that are always present in nature. It is the creative power of God that gives the existence of life to the creation, including everything in the natural world. These powers, such as the constant power in the soul to bring forth vegetation, shows that there is a general life force, soil, not soul, a general life force for the whole world, which maintains the world in existence. The natural powers that we find revealed in the world are extensions of the essential life force it receives from God, just as the extensions of the soul's various powers from its essence serves to give life to the body and animates its numerous individual faculties. Did you find it yet, Scotty? No. Sorry about that.
No, and I'm still looking. I know the one you're talking about, so I'm still looking for it. I see Chris is looking. I don't know if, but we're looking. We're looking.
I know it's just one of those that popped up in my mind as I was reading. You know, when you study Genesis, the creation week, especially through the Hebrew, it opened your mind and your eyes to this fact that it says here, including everything in the natural world. These powers, such as the constant power in the soil to bring forth vegetation. In the creation week, the Creator tells the earth to bring forth the vegetation after its kind, and beasts after their kind. He tells the water to bring forth, teeming animals and fishes and vegetation. So there was power. God gave power. The earth itself is a life force because life comes out of it. Every time you plant a seed in the ground, whether it be a flower or a vegetable or a tree, the power for that seed to become what God created is coming up out of the soil, is a power that the Creator put in the earth, the power of life. But man, like we discussed a few weeks ago, does not receive its power of life from the earth. With man, he gets his body, but we get the power of life directly from the breath of God. Just let me know when you find it, Scotty. In addition,
41:4.
do what?
Psalm 41:4.
41:4. There you go, Ronald. Hold up a second. Let me turn around here. You said 41:4? It'll take us a little break here. You believe it? I had my bookmark set on 42 for some reason. 41:4. Let's start at the beginning here. It says, for the conductor a song unto David, praiseworthy is he who cares wisely for the sick on the day of a disaster. Hashem will surely cause him to flee. Hashem will preserve him and keep him alive. He will be made praiseworthy on the earth, and he will not present him to the will of his foes. Hashem will fortify him on his bed of his measure, and all his restlessness has been. And as for me, I said, O Hashem, show me favor and heal my soul, for I have sinned against you. Okay. In the ArtScroll that is verse 5. Over here in the commentary, it says, heal my soul, for I have sinned against you. Roddick, one of the Torah sages, says, he does not ask for his body to be healed, for he realizes that his ailment stems from his sins, which are malleable of the soul. If his soul can be cured by receiving divine forgiveness, then the recovery of the body is inevitable. The soul, which has become desecrated by sin, has lost its sensitivity to all things sacred and divine. The possessor of this soul loses his awareness of God's presence and is deadened to all of the experiences of the Spirit. So this is the reason why King David is talking about heal my soul, because it is the soul that is sick and the body is reflecting that which what the soul is going through. That's an interesting thing to think about when we're sick. I mean, and because of that passage in the past, I remembered I have actually prayed that prayer when I've been sick, heal my soul, asking Hashem, like especially during the time of the month of Elul, which we'll get into here pretty soon in a few months, and talk about spending time of taking a personal inventory of your life, and bringing these issues up to help correct our lives, so that our souls can be healed, and those healings of our souls can bring forth, healing of the ailments in our body. What you got, Scotty? Nothing. You keep smiling over there. You must be having a good time.
So Bob, not the Bob here, but the Bob over here on Power Faith. He says the more that he studies with this group, the more he realizes that the body, just like you said a few minutes ago, the body cannot live without the soul, and the soul cannot be without the Creator. And then it goes right into us. We cannot be without the Creator, but we cannot be without the soul.
Right. And that also goes in, Scotty, when you talk about when you're giving tzedakah on behalf of someone, that, on blessed memory.
Mm-hmm.
The soul itself cannot obey the will of God without the body.
So without the body, it's past its ability to perform mitzvah.
To perform mitzvahs, yes. That's why this life is so important right now, to learn what the Creator expects of us as human beings. That's what our 7 categorical laws are about. They're about ethics and morals, because once we pass from this life, our soul can no longer observe a mitzvah. It can no longer do good deeds. It's locked in. And that's why the Creator, as much as sometimes when we see the world the way it is and we get angry and we see the wickedness and the evil, yet the Creator tarries, we learn that he tarries even with the wicked. So he's giving them the opportunity while they're still here. That's why he doesn't desire the death of the wicked. Part of it is because once even the wicked is gone, their opportunity to make, to do mitzvahs, to clean the room up that they've, made a mess of, has passed. And so the Creator is he's long suffering. He with all of us, because our soul needs this body. The soul wants to be close to the Creator and to do what the Creator wants it to do, but it takes the body for it to actually, it takes our hands and our feet to do or not to do the way of God. And so, that soul emanates in through the body. The body is borrowing energy from the soul so that it can do the will of God. They're partners. They need each other.
So there's a good question that came in on the radio from Brenda. I don't know if I should ask it today, Brenda, because that's going to take, but I will initiate this. This is a good question. And I don't know if we want to set it back. I don't know how much more reading you have and how much more time.
Oh, no, we're fine on the reading. I can pick up right here on the next week. Matter of fact, hold on, let me take my pencil right here. Make me a.
So this concept is brand new to a lot of people, I'm sure, about doing a mitzvot for someone who has already passed, if I can say it that way, giving a charity in the blessed memory of for the mitzvot of a person that's passed. When does that get accounted to them? Since the Creator has no sense of time, did that get accounted to them before they passed, or does it get accounted to them now that they're passed?
You're Mr. Sadaka.
Well, I don't think I can understand the position of with the Creator, there's no time, it's just us.
Right.
And so did the Creator know that we were going to give that tzedakah for this person and contribute that merit to them before they passed, or does it go to their merit now? Bob and Christopher, where are you at on this? Scratching your head? Is that what you just did?
Well, this is one of the deeper subjects that we learn from our Jewish brothers and sisters.
Go ahead.
I would say it would be in the now, because it all plays part of our free will. If we do something like that, there's an aspect of our free will in the now on that. But what we have learned from our Jewish brothers and sisters is because the soul cannot do a mitzvah, and when we do charity, in the name of someone who has passed in their merit, what we were in essence we're asking the Creator that soul receive the merit as if they had actually done it.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a deeper. So I can probably look that up, and maybe we need to look that up and doing a precise teaching on that. Because we're going from what we've been taught. We probably do a more precise teaching on that. And it's just an area it's like, according to our Torah sages of Israel, do you know what one of the greatest mitzvahs is? One of the greatest human deeds?
To do something for someone who, after they have passed. Is that what you're thinking about?
Escorting another human to the grave. You're showing a kindness when you're escorting someone. Part of kindness and loving your neighbor as yourself, which I can get into a teaching on that as well. That's deeper than what we've ever taught. I've got a teaching over here on that particular trait. Loving your neighbor as yourself goes beyond further than what we were ever taught in what it really means. But one of the kindnesses is like when you have company over is actually escorting them along the way when they're leaving. That's a great kindness to do that. So when you're escorting, someone who has passed to their final resting place, you're doing a kindness for them that they can never repay. You're doing something they can never pay it back. So there's no other agenda involved. That, some people will do something for somebody because they know they're going to get something in return. But when we escort the dead to the grave, that is a real high level of kindness, because you're doing something a kindness to them and escorting them along their path that they cannot pay you back for. And it's a kindness.
Right.
And so go ahead, Scotty.
No, I was just going to say Bob had unmuted for a minute to add something, and then of course Fred's got his hand up. But Bob, was you going to put in an?
Well, there's a couple things about one is that we don't know for sure how time operates on the other side, so to speak. So as to whether or not they receive something right when we're doing it or not, I'm not sure how that would actually work. But the way that I've understood it is that, and this is, I seem to recall this was from a teaching by Rabbi Zeb Leff in Israel. If a person does something for the other person's merit, it's that other person, you have a connection with that other person, and what you're doing is being motivated by that other person. Therefore, it's counted towards their merit. It's like if I, the Kaddish prayer for the deceased, which is like, once a year you have an opportunity to say Kaddish for a person. If you say Kaddish for a parent, for example, it means that the praises that's being said is being done on behalf of that person, and that person kind of receives the merit. They kind of receive a boost from that. So that says, or if you're giving charity in a person's merit, on behalf of someone, it's in a certain sense you're a shliach. You're partnering with that person that's not there, but you're partnering with that person that they are in a certain sense doing that as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Yeah. All right, Fred, you got your hand up. Are you weighing in on this? There he is.
There I am. I have a lot of things to kind of either make statements about or just ask in general, but because using this concept of in a merit of somebody, as you was talking about this, I'm just thinking out loud about, for example, unknowingly, I think a lot of our world, the concept is in play. For example, that one of the things I was thinking about, benefits for those who were deceased, or they were honorable, like ex-military or a hero or something like that, where there will be a benefit, not just carry on his name, but sometimes they'll create laws or a monument or something in his name, in his honor, whatever it is. And one thing I just heard recently, which I thought was kind of amazing, was there was a veteran who died in combat, and he was cremated, but he was on the other side of the United States or something like that, and he was going to put his ashes in like a FedEx box. And a biker group, veteran group, got wind of it, that was going to happen, so they got involved, and they took the motorcycle and drive thousands of miles away to go get this box of ashes, tag it across the United States back to his widow, so it didn't have to be put in a box and go through the mail. So they thought that was kind of unhonorable. So do you think that concept is in play unknowingly in this world in actions like that? You know what I'm saying?
Good. Yeah, I think so.
And another example would be like people who have passed away. One thing I'm thinking about is Elvis Presley, for example, that he's not only making probably more money that he's deceased, but all the people that he's employed just because of his his what he did, his records, and thing in Memphis and his house and blah blah blah. Look how many people get employed, make money, and benefits. So my question is, regardless of there was Noah or not, do you think Hashem is, evidently I think so, he is, because people are employed, are benefiting others in his merit? You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do see what you're saying, and I do feel that this concept goes farther beyond the, if I can say it this way, the class of the Noahide.
Well, it's the human. Well, the Noahide is a human
humanity.
being. It's
Right.
it's just a human being. It's
Yeah.
just the modern term. We're just humans. No, I agree, because see, we're constantly talking about making the world a better place, and how a one of the principles that we've learned from our Jewish brothers and sisters is that the blessing of doing a mitzvah, a good deed, the blessing of doing that is getting the opportunity to do another one. So one mitzvah breeds another. So if you think about that, even in the natural sense, God created humanity, and all humans are in the image of God, whether they understand that or not, that there are principles of the Creator, his laws that he set in place from the very beginning, they're still there operating. So just like Fred was just saying, on an example of employment, there was a neat story that I read when I went to the Jack Daniel's distillery up here in Lynchburg, just a couple hours away. There's a neat story I learned about Jack Daniel's, is that there was a young black man that helped him develop the recipe for Jack Daniel's whiskey. And because of that, the descendants of that man, someone in that man's family, from that man's life back in the 1800s or so, has a permanent position in the company as long as the company exists. And still to this day, there's someone in that man's family that is an employee, a permanent employee of that company. And he bestowed that blessing on that family because they partnered together that created that recipe, that made it a famous recipe. And so he's blessed that family. And so you can imagine such a blessing that someone like this blessed another person's family. For as long as the company's in existence, that family's being blessed as having an employment. And that good deed doesn't go undone. And so it's that what we call the butterfly effect, that ripple effect. when a mitzvah is done, how it ripples through even time. Because sometimes you may do something. Our rabbis are always telling us, you never know when you do something good, the impact that's good is going to have years, maybe a generation later.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard for us in the here and now. Again, we can't see what God is doing in the here and now. But when that good deed has gone on from its past forward, and it's bringing benefits. So yeah, this stuff is really interesting to think about how the Creator and how we work with the Creator and how humanity operates, even with the image of God that's within them. And maybe they don't even have that relationship with God, but yet the good deeds that they do has, an ongoing impact.
I see a lot of times these things as, and I've mentioned it before, and I've talked to other people about it, that it's part of our genetic makeup.
Yeah.
So, people feel good when they do good for somebody. And that's something that causes you to do more good. Excuse me, and it causes the other people to do good.
And that's what he wants. He wants his kids doing that.
Yeah. So, all right.
Go ahead, Scotty.
No, that's.
Are we done?
Yeah. That was pretty good. I think I'm going to jot down some more questions dealing with that for our next Q&A.
Yeah. See, this is all in line with what we're studying about the service of the Creator. And this we are actually, even though we're going to have several chapters on this particular subject, we're not even really going to scratch the surface, because I've got a book that was recommended to me by this was recommended to me by what I call one of my elders. Scotty knows him, Jacob Shariff.
Mm-hmm.
They live in Houston now. But this is called A Guide to Serving God, and it's written by the son of the Rambam, who lived in the 1500s. And it's one of these that, now a lot of it applies to Israel because it's written to Israel, but there's so much that applies to regular human beings. I have to just read it a little bit at a time. Like I just opened it up, like here on chapter 4 on calmness. Remember we talked about anger a few minutes ago. It says calmness is a virtue calmness is the virtual absence of rage and anger. And he talks about God being slow to anger, like I mentioned a while ago. And it says the only way for them to stop this tendency is to train rigorously with the proper habits of our Torah observance. What we have to do, the more we do in obeying the commandments God's given us, and ours is the 7 categorical, which, theft and murder and all that, which are very deep subjects. It says the calm one is greater than the warrior. This is from King Solomon. The calm one is greater than the warrior, and the self-controlled greater than the conqueror. And this is one who overcomes his anger. And this is just on this one chapter, but this is all in the service of God. And what we are talking about here, we're talking about tonight a little bit about tzedakah and how it ties into the service of God, how our senses, we cannot perceive the full service of God through our senses. So we have to stop and just like it mentions, to perceive our body instead, meditating on our soul and our body. And so it's again, this is all self work that we do for ourselves that we're learning about. This is for ourselves, but it's also for the benefit of humanity as a whole. Yeah. And that's kind of what I wanted to bring in at the beginning of that though we are studying a lot of things that are kind of self-related, but the purpose behind all this self-related understanding God and understanding you and God is for the benefit of all of humanity, not just for ourselves. Go ahead, Scott.
I just seen Veronica had put on the chat that Rabbi Moshe Shulman said that he is getting better.
Oh, great. Baruch Hashem.
Baruch Hashem. So, all right. One last note. It's on my mind, so I'm going to have to spit it out here. You had said, and I do agree with this. I agree with this, that we're all B'nai Noach, sons of Noah. But I find it sometimes worrisome. I don't see anybody here doing this, but I in talking to other people who have freed themselves from religious ventures. Notice I'm choosing my words wisely. Those that have freed themselves from religious ventures see themselves as better than humanity, when in fact that they just lessen themselves from. Did I say that correctly? Am I saying this correctly?
Yeah, because they've allowed an arrogance to come in, and we've got to watch that as well. When we learn that maybe there's some things in our past that we were raised with or went into not knowing everything about it. And when we transform ourselves away from that, there's this tendency to want to belittle those who are on the path that you used to be on.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't. Think of it like this. One of the things that Scotty and I talk a lot about just amongst ourselves is something that we learned from our rabbis years ago. And Rabbi Lazer Brody teaches a lot on this himself from his Rabbi Nachman of Breslov, who lived 200 years ago, is don't be ashamed of your past, because your past is the path that brought you to where you're at today.
Yeah.
And with that concept in mind, if we shouldn't be ashamed of our past, regardless of what we were in, because it was the path that brought us to where we're at today, maybe we shouldn't belittle those who are still on that path that hadn't come down the path as far as you have.
Yeah. And
we need to leave them alone.
yeah. So here is a concept I was going to throw on people along this path. Maybe the Creator allowed you to see it, whatever you want to deem that, and brought you out so you could give tzedakah for those very ones in your family. Not get mad at them, not say, why aren't you seeing this? But you do tzedakah for their merit and see what happens. Just a little thought.
Yeah.
I started doing that. I think I've told you about, I got these folks in my family that just years ago, they just knew how to push my buttons. We'd go out and eat, and they didn't. And I called my dad up one night, a blessed memory, my father. I called my dad up, and I said, I'm just getting so frustrated because every time I try to talk, they just push my buttons. And I was waiting on him to come to my rescue. And he said, well, if you didn't put your buttons on the table, they couldn't push them. But I'm just now learning. Now, arguing don't help. I now get into some discussions. I'm going to tell you, I get into some discussions, but I find there's a time. Okay, that's not going to work. But I have found that doing tzedakah, however,
and that's a form of prayer for them as well. And
think of them when you do it. And let's try that. See what happens. Okay.
One more thing, because Will posted this in the chat when we were talking about escorting the dead. He says, thanks for explaining the feeling I get for doing motorcycle escort for a fellow veteran or Mason to the grave, which I think Veronica's been a part of that too. Was you Patriot Guard? I think Veronica's part of the Patriot Guard as well.
Yes.
back years ago, I used to have what I would call a Torah study in my house. We had a little old 950 square foot house, 11 by 16 living room, and we had 25 people every Saturday morning showing up at the house. And one of the gentlemen was a veteran of Vietnam, and he passed away. He was the father of actually the young son that was coming, worked with him, and his mom and dad started coming. Well, his dad passed away. And I had never been to a military funeral before. I've never been to a military funeral before. And so this guy that used to come to our study, he was senior, and the other guy we called junior, the one who worked with me. I got invited to come to the funeral, and they did a full military funeral where they did the way they drew the casket out of the hearse and everything, and just everything that went involved. I literally stood there in tears because I never had witnessed one of those. Not even on TV. You see the 21 guns, but I got to see the whole 9 yards and all the saluting and everything, the slow care that they took, and the honor that they gave that man this has been years ago, has never left me. And how, it's a shame sometimes it takes our military to show more honor to our dead than we do ourselves. And it made an everlasting impact on my life to see that military procession, and there probably wasn't 15, 20 people around. And he got the full honor that could ever be given. It was so amazing at that. And so that was such a, because I was thinking about, because I knew at the time about this, what we were talking about tonight, escorting. I knew that, and I'm just like, wow, what an honor that is given someone that can never repay that back. They can, Mr. Senior, as we call him, he could not get out of the casket and salute them back, And so just think about that the next time you're able to attend a wedding of a loved one or a friend or a pallbearer, of the honor that you're doing for that person who used to bear the image of God, and what you're doing in front of your Creator as you give that person that kind of honor. It's just stuff we just don't think about sometimes. Go ahead, Scotty.
Hold that.
Okay, Scott's got to he's got a thought going on.
No, I'm typing something in here for somebody. Give me 1 minute.
Okay. But anyhow, that made a major impact on my life. And that is part, see, this is all part of the service of God that we're learning about. This is serving the Creator. There's so much in serving the Creator that sometimes we don't know that's maybe an object of serving Him. We don't picture it like that, but it is.
Okay. All right. Listen, we're going to have just a little discussion after we get through here. So, okay. But I'm going to go ahead and bring our class to a close for this session. Thank everybody for coming and being this way with us. Those of you, again, listening on Power Faith Radio, we thank you so much. And please come back next Wednesday and bring your paper and pencils. And if you're watching this live on YouTube, share this video with all your social media platform. And if you're watching the recording by some other social media platform, come on over to Outreach Noah YouTube channel, subscribe to that channel, and hit that notification bell that you too will be notified every time a new video goes up. Everybody, you can email us at outreachnoah@gmail.com.
Yeah, you've been forgetting that. Oh, by the way, real quick, I don't know if we made this announcement. Scotty and I have stopped our website at this time. It's not done away with. We've just put it on hold because we've been doing some
Vamping.
restructuring, and we're looking at some different things. We've kind of got ourselves a spread a little bit thin, so we've kind of drawed in the ropes there a little bit. It's still there. It's just not up and live. You can still contact us through a simple walk. You can get to us through the email outreachnoah@gmail.com. And of course our YouTube channel. And I'm going to be getting my blogs back up and going again. And Scotty, I think, has got some few things that him and Annie's actually working on a few things. And so we've kind of got some new stuff coming down the pike here, hopefully in the near future, a few little things. But if you go to the website and don't seem to find it right now, we just kind of got it on hold for a moment.
Yeah. All right. Everybody, don't go away, those of you in the Zoom room, just for a few minutes. Everybody, we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.